does black joy bother some white people? And some other groups, but majority is white people. And not all of you. You know what I'm talking about. You ever notice how the group of black folks, like they come together laughing, dancing, and just vibing, and suddenly is labeled as too loud, too ghetto, or too much? Jealousy. Jealousy. You know why? Because they couldn't strip that away. And it's surviving. But let's be real. It's not about the volume that's the problem. It's the vibrations. It's the freedom. It's the fact that we can still find joy after centuries of trying to be stripped of who we are. We still make something out of nothing. You understand? See, black joy is like disruptive in certain people. It challenges. And where we're supposed to be broken, angry, and silent, it's like loving, living, and celebrating. So it's not just confusion. It's threatening to a certain group of people.
All right, racists, let's talk about your distaste for black joy. Racist America fumes at the sight of happiness, especially when that person smiling is black. It's as if this country specializes in anger Olympics. Being a little too happy disturbs the patriotism. 3 or more laughs in one place is like being investigated by a mall cop. I'm gonna need to see some ID. Because deep down, they believe that pain is the only state that black indigenous people are allowed to live in. Black people start laughing too loud at their cousin's cookout. They throw on some Frankie Beverly. They start dancing with their auntie in a sundress while the ribs are sizzling. Instantly, their lives are in danger. It's like watching a perfect example of a case study on people who have a problem with control. It's like their obsession isn't just with control, it's like with the optics of it as well.
Family, let us talk about a real issue today. You think that after centuries of oppression, suppression, redlining, Jim Crow, slavery, you think that people are actually happy right now, that black folks are having joy. Family, that is not the case. There is a group of people who are still sad that black people can afford to smile today, even after centuries of oppression. They believe that we need to thrive in pain and grief, but not to be happy. Family, black joy is bothering some white folks. And in this video, we want to learn why black joy is bothering most of them in this day and time in 2025. So family, I want you to watch this video all the way to the end for you to be able to understand this phenomena. And family, in a special way, I want to thank all my subscribers who are supporting me through buying me a coffee. I do not take your support for granted. The link is on the description down below. Let's dive into the video. Let's watch it all the way to the end. Once it's done, we will get back and do a critical analysis about the same. Let's watch this video together, family.
I'm going to keep saying this with my whole chest because some people are not deep thinkers. I understand that you're not a critical thinker. This is not for you. This is just not for you. Scroll up. So, my point today is, well, not today, but at this moment, like, why does black joy bother some white people? And some other groups, but majority is white people. And not all of you. You know what I'm talking about. You ever notice how the group of black folks, like they come together laughing, dancing, and just vibing, and suddenly is labeled as too loud, too ghetto, or too much? Jealousy. Jealousy. You know why? Because they couldn't strip that away. And it's surviving. But let's be real. It's not about the volume that's the problem. It's the vibrations. It's the freedom. It's the fact that we can still find joy after centuries of trying to be stripped of who we are. We still make something out of nothing. You understand? See, black joy is like disruptive in certain people. It challenges. And where we're supposed to be broken, angry, and silent, it's like loving, living, and celebrating. So it's not just confusion. It's threatening to a certain group of people. Because black joy, for us, is power, is resistance, it's healing, it's ancestral. Of all the things they said we could not do, it's lies. Remember, we were here way before other groups were here. And now our happiness is not a performance. It's reclaiming who we said we always were. So the next time somebody looks uncomfortable with your black joy, remember that you're not the problem. They're just uncomfortable and can't believe that after all this time, we are still celebrating who we are and who we are meant to be and who we are growing to be. So tell me, have you ever felt like your joy made somebody else uncomfortable? Let's talk about it, y'all. To me, I don't give a flying fuck who feels uncomfortable. This is my life, my body, and if you feel uncomfortable, move the fuck away. Right. Because where I was for Black Bike Weekend, we were on the side, I'm not going to say the grown folk side, but we like our peace. So, of course, it was a mix of black and white people. Like, we all around each other. We all talking to each other. You think anybody grabbed their purse because they see bikers in leather? No, they're used to it. They're talking, they're waving, they're like, oh, let me tell me about your bike, blah, 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 blah. These are people talking, not afraid and not jealous. There are some, but we didn't cross any this weekend. Okay? But have y'all ever experienced that? Like, you having joy, you having celebration, especially with all the graduates. Did you see those comments talking about black fatigue in the comments of black joy celebrating the college? See, the point that I'm trying to get at is no one who doesn't, how can I say this? If you black, you understand. It comes naturally, and it doesn't matter what state you from. We all have a common denominator of celebrating our blackness, and people can't stand that. People can't stand that. And I'm not just talking about in America. If we go somewhere else, black joy is celebrated different ways, but we still have that common denominator of celebrating of what we achieve regardless of the fact. Okay, I'm gonna get off my soapbox. Anyway, happy Tuesday.
It's about black women's joy. It's about black women experiencing sustained joy. The oppressor has to do anything to stop that, to disrupt that. They cannot have black women by themselves, or certainly not as a collective, experiencing the kind of intense joy and happiness that we feel when we listen to Beyonce. Do y'all remember when Adele at some award shows said that she knows how Beyonce makes her black friends feel? That's the problem. They will do anything to disrupt that. They will do anything to interrupt it. That's why the arguments are so dumb. They're not nuanced. They're not intellectual. They're not interesting. And I believe this to be true because they are so desperate and so quick to do it. We can't have a smooth 24 or 48 hours of enjoying this beautiful, culturally rich performance. We just can't have it because it makes us too happy. And so the important message and what I want the 92% to know is it's not a matter of I wish it'd be so nice if we could take a break to step back. Now we have to do it because we know what their MO is, and that's to keep us sad, to keep us miserable. I think a lot of them were happy during the civil rights era. They don't mind us moaning and groaning and wailing and holding hands and singing. They have a real problem with us experience happiness, exultation, jubilance, laughter. I think it's as simple as a freaking Monsters Inc. movie. I remember Monsters Inc. The screams were very powerful. You could run a whole power company like off the screams. But the children's laughter, that sends things through the roof, right? And they're terrified of that. That's why I believe they're so desperate about it. So listen, among the 92%, I know we have apple polishers. I know there are those of us that are still recovering people pleasers, and we must have a job. We must have an assignment. The assignment is to experience joy. We gotta do it because they don't want us to do it. And now that I know that they are desperate for me, my sisters, my mom, my aunties, for all of us, all of our communities to not experience joy, I'm putting that number one on my priority list. Oh, they're not taking it away. No one's taking it away. And they are terrified of what the power of black women's collective joy will bring about. That's why they take one of our icons, one of our most beloved, because they know in so many different ways, she makes us walk with our shoulders back. She makes us love our curves. She makes us love our juicy mouthed countryness. It's because of Beyonce, I called myself a Mississippi Bama. And people used to wear me out calling me a Bama in college. If you'd ever told me that I experienced pride in calling myself that, that's because of Beyonce. That's because of what that is. She makes us hold our heads up too high, put our shoulders back, walk around like the queens that we are. That's the problem. So we understand the assignment now, right?
Alright, racists, let's talk about your distaste for black joy. Racist America fumes at the sight of happiness, especially when that person smiling is black. It's as if this country specializes in anger Olympics. Being a little too happy disturbs the patriotism. 3 or more laughs in one place is like being investigated by a mall cop. I'm gonna need to see some ID. Because deep down, they believe that pain is the only state that black indigenous people are allowed to live in. Black people start laughing too loud at their cousin's cookout. They throw on some Frankie Beverly. They start dancing with their auntie in a sundress while the ribs are sizzling. Instantly, their lives are in danger. It's like watching a perfect example of a case study on people who have a problem with control. It's like their obsession isn't just with control, it's like with the optics of it as well. They want to be seen as dominant in the space, because they seem to disappear when there is black joy. When you throw your graduation cap in the air, surrounded by your entire family in matching t-shirts, they don't see achievement, they see defiance. Because in their minds, success was never black people's storyline. The truth is, black joy is a glitch in the racist lies that they feed themselves. They built a whole myth of superiority that only works if you're miserable, delusional, insecure, jealous, and mediocre. When black people shift the world with their joy and laughter, the racist's entire self-image starts to crack. This is why racists gatekeep golf courses, ban urban dress codes, side-eye loud laughter, and call the cops when the music's just a little too bassy. The unnecessary hate and determination to ruin black people's happiness is a disease, a brain-eating amoeba that siphons the cognition out of America's privileged society. And what hurts the most is that happiness and black joy is more infectious.
Why is it that black people just existing in a positive, happy, or joyful state bothers y'all so much? If you want to have an event to celebrate the resilience of the white community or the Hispanic community, then go ahead and organize one. Like, do white people and Hispanic people not have their own holiday observances to be worried about? Like, why are you worried about? All we're trying to do is honor the black folks who have led the charge for black liberation and to honor the sacrifices made by political prisoners for our freedom. Black August started in 1979 in San Quentin when the Black guerrilla family was looking for a way to honor the sacrifices of George Jackson and Jonathan Jackson, who were key figures in the black liberation struggle. They decided the best way to honor these people was to engage in political education. It's a month-long opportunity for black folks to refocus in on the community by doing some self-study, fasting from media that is not about black people. It's a time for community building, a time for advocacy around the issues that are most impacting the black community. And I said it before, but above all, making sure that our community is politically educated. If y'all had genuine interest, y'all could literally do exactly the same thing in your own community, but that would require interest in political education. That would require the ability for advocacy, that will require the ability to community build and the ability to acknowledge the contributions your elders have made to liberation. But y'all don't even want to do none of that. You just want to sit on your ass and complain about what black people are doing.
Black joy is going to be weaponized to sow counter-revolutionary sentiment. That is my 2025 prediction. And here's some late night thoughts that I just scribbled down really quickly. Imperialism and capitalism will weaponize blackness as shields, and it will work because anti-blackness is so rampant and will be so much more rampant, specifically within the incoming administration, that in defending blackness, people will end up shielding hegemonic institutions from being challenged. No war about the class war. Meanwhile, racism is going to be an existential threat for all of us, because so long as people cannot let go of their racism, then black joy will always need to exist as a counterweight to that racism. And in that black joy, neoliberal institutions will weaponize it to silence critique of institutions that wrap themselves in black joy to further perpetuate themselves. Capitalism is like a parasite that has become drug resistant, so powerful that it can ingest critiques of itself to further strengthen itself. Hegemonic institutions will say Black Lives Matter, and people will believe that they mean that and acquiesce to those institutions and keep supporting them, or turn a blind eye to the fact that those institutions are actively harming black people or supporting police unions, etc. They've got us good.
I've come to the conclusion that a lot of white people are irritated by black joy. I was thinking about when Kamala was running for president. Vice President Kamala Harris was running for president, and the Republicans made so much of her laughter. It obviously agitated them so much that she was joyful and would laugh, that it was like they wanted to put out her light. And I've had a few instances that I've mentioned. One just yesterday, again with some black girlfriends at dinner, out enjoying ourselves, laughing, not loud, but joyful, having great conversation. And this woman behind us had such a scowl. She could not enjoy her own meal because she was so fixated on us. And I know that last time I've mentioned stuff like this, white women, would say, or people would come in my comments and say, oh, y'all would just be acting inappropriately. That's why they were looking, which we weren't, because of course always the blame has to be on us. And it's not far-fetched to be truthful about your resentment of other people's joy. And because you can't grow unless you're truthful about what you need to work on. I remember being in stores and out and about and seeing white kids running around and acting in a way that, would have gotten me in trouble when I was a child. And I felt resentful because I felt like they had the freedom to do it. And I was so strict with my 2 young black boys because, I believe there's a pressure in the United States for black people to behave a certain way or we get called out very quickly, particularly black boys. And I always would correct them when we were in public, when they were acting like kids, frankly. I never wanted my kids to be seen as bad. And so I resented the freedom that white kids had to just be wild. I still thought they were kind of bad, but the fact that they had the freedom, I resented that, right? I don't know why white people resent it. And that's something that they need to investigate. But I do believe greatly that a lot of white people are annoyed, agitated, resentful of black joy. So I think that white people should work on that. I'm serious. Work with a therapist, do some personal deep diving and figure out why it agitates you. Is it our freedom? Is it jealousy? What is it? And then for black people, my directive would be have more joy. Agitate the fuck out of people. Joy is your right. You deserve it. And what I think is incredible is that we are able to find joy often in spite of. Keep on being happy. Keep on finding moments of joy. Enjoy each other. Smile and laugh. Laugh so much that people have to talk about it, like they did with Vice President Harris.
Family, the fact that black folks today can still find joy is bothering a lot of white people, if not all of them. It's actually about jealousy of our freedom and the fact that we can still find joy even after centuries of trying to be stripped of who we are. They expect black folks to be broken, angry, and silent after the trauma in our communities. Black joy is just power, and it's also healing. After centuries of oppression, most whites don't believe that after all the oppression and suppression, we are still celebrating who we are. We are celebrating actually who we are growing to be, who we were actually meant to be. And racist Americans are fuming, at the sight of happiness, especially if the person in joy is a black person. They do not want to see a black person having happiness. They actually are very happy when they see black folks struggling. That's the whole idea of white supremacists. That's the whole idea of a racist. They do not want to see a black person in a position of power, a black person enjoying who they are. They believe blacks should be in pain, and their obsession is just to see black struggle, and it's not happening. You want to see somebody struggle, you're jealous of them. But family, each and every day you wake up, you see them thrive, you see them glow, you see them happy. And this is disturbing a lot of people. The fact that black folks are still happy today is just disturbing many people. These people who are supposed to feel inferior, the people who white folks did so much, especially the white supremacists, to even whitewash their history, to make them feel lesser beings. Why are they smiling today? Why are they not complaining over the cost of living like other white counterparts? What's the secret with the happiness that black people have today? That obsession is driving a lot of these white supremacists crazy. That obsession, that not knowing why black people are having joy is just one catalyst, of obsession and a lot of rage in white communities. Because why are these people happy? Even after what we've perpetuated in their communities over the years, what is happening with these people? Do they mean that whatever we did for them, the oppression we gave them, the trauma, they should have, they should continue having trauma right now? What do you mean they're having fun? What do you mean they're having a cookout and enjoying life? They shouldn't be doing that, So family, when we look at this, when we break we break it down in an historical context. For generations, society painted the image of black as suffering, broken, and always struggling. During slavery, during Jim Crow, and even during the civil rights, our pain was normalized. And they thought that black people should always, have pain. Our pain was actually normalized. Blackness was related to pain and struggle. It was actually expected. Some people got so comfortable with that image that the very idea of us laughing, smiling, or even celebrating ourselves feels threatening to them. You're used to seeing somebody crying, you're used to seeing them having a lot of pain. So when you start seeing them having happiness, you're even disturbed. You're not happy. So the fact that black people are celebrating themselves, is threatening to the white supremacists. It flips the script they've been holding on to. Family, some people are asking why black joy feels threatening to white folks. Here's what I found out in my research. Black joy is powerful because of its resistance. It says no matter what you've done to us, no matter how much you've tried to erase us, we are still here. We're still rising, and we are still finding reasons to dance, to laugh, and to love ourselves. That bothers some people because joy represents freedom that they never wanted us to have. When you see a black man happy, that just shows you that this man has a freedom. You want to enslave the black man in the modern day, but when you sing them laugh, when you sing them having a lot of joy, that can already tell you that these people have freedom, and you want them enchained in the modern ways of enslaving them, but they are not giving into that. That is bothering a lot of people out here, more than you can even imagine. You see it when black folks are dancing on TikTok and suddenly people try to copy, water it down or hate on it. You see it when black people celebrate natural hair and folks say it's unprofessional. You see it when we gather in community, cook our food, play our music, and simply exist happily, and someone calls the police. What does that even tell you? The black joy is disruptive to a system that only recognizes us in pain. When you see black people happy, you're saying that they are all ghetto, they are making a lot of noise, but that is not the case. You have rage, you have resentment, having to seeing people who you thought are meant to struggle, thriving, being happy, enjoying their freedom, celebrating themselves. That just makes you feel threatened and feel weak. You do not know how much or what ways you can use to return your authority to them. You're used to just pushing authority over them, and now when you seeing them having freedom, it's disturbing you so much, and you even do not know how you can handle it. But here's the thing, family. That discomfort is not our problem as black people. Black folks, celebrate you, enjoy yourself, be happy, enjoy the freedom that you have. Them being worried about our joy is not a black problem. That discomfort is not our problem. That's a mirror of them. It reveals how deeply ingrained white supremacy is when even happiness from black people feels like rebellion. Because the truth is, our laughter, our art, our music, our culture, that's survival tuned into brilliance. That's healing turned into beauty. That's resistance turned into power. And family, that is the biggest threat to a white supremacist. The power, the resilience, the smile that a black folk can afford today is just a threat to them. So to anyone bothered by black joy, let me be clear. This straight to somebody who's feeling disturbed with black joy. We are not stopping. Black people will continue being happy. We are not dimming our light. Black joy is not just a trend. It's a declaration that we are alive. We are whole, and we are free in ways that your hate can't touch. Freedom, family. Our ancestors cried enough tears. Now it's time to laugh, to sing, to love, and to live fully. If that bothers you, that's on you. That's not on any black person. Family, I want you to let me know in the comment section down below what you think about today's video and my commentary about the same. Family, in a special way, I'd also request that you all do like the video so that it can be recommended to other YouTube users. The goal of this channel has always been to talk about black empowerment, black history, and ensure that we tell black stories the black way, because if we give the supremacist an opportunity to tell our stories, we've seen these over the history, the stories are always whitewashed. Family, kindly do consider subscribing to the channel. We are currently on the road to 50,000 subscribers, and guys, I really appreciate us even reaching 29,000 subscribers the other day. I do not take that support for granted. Let's push it to 50,000 subs. Thank you, and see you all in our next episode. Goodbye for now.